Just a quick introduction of myself. I am Zoe Rawheiser. I'm the program manager for the Home4Good program. This is the presentation for the fiscal year 27 Home4Good rollout. For those of you that are new or returning, welcome. We're happy to have you here. And there's going to be two main housekeeping things before we get started. First is that we won't be taking any questions or comments during the presentation or after. So the idea is that you write down your questions, your comments, your thoughts, and my contact information will be provided at the end of the PowerPoint for you to send that information then. And second is that a recording of this will be provided on the DSHA website, as well as other information, which would be the notice of funding availability, the NOFA, the application guidelines, as well as the applications themselves. And I think we're all set to get into it. So the Home4Good program is a program itself that supports initiatives that lead to stable housing for households that are becoming homeless or at imminent risk of becoming homelessness or at risk of becoming homeless. So the categories that are being offered in this Home4Good round are homelessness prevention programs, rapid rehousing programs for the areas of Kent and Sussex counties, re-entry programs, street outreach programs, and programs with innovative solutions to addressing homelessness. Now, this year's Home4Good funding is a combined total of $1.23 million from Delaware State Housing Authority and the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. So DSHA has provided $500,000 of funding, and the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh has provided $730,000. Now, the set-asides for the programs, these are baselines, and based on the demand or need, we have the right to redistribute them. So under homelessness prevention, there is a baseline application total for $300,000, rapid rehousing $200,000, re-entry $200,000, street outreach $155,000, and innovation $375,000. Now, we want to encourage people to apply for the Home4Good program, so there is no limit to the amount of the funding requests that you can make. However, it is important to keep in mind that based on the total number of applications that will be approved for the funding, as well as if you're a returning applicant, your past performance history, it's possible that the amount that you're requesting will be different from the amount that you may be awarded. So to get into the meat and potatoes of the categories under Home4Good, the first category is homelessness prevention. So homelessness prevention is for programs that support individuals and families facing an imminent risk of homelessness, and it's designed to stabilize the households in their existing homes, connecting them with services and financial assistance to help them remain in their permanent housing. So this will be for eligible households that may be in danger of eviction, as well as helping them identify immediate alternate housing arrangements. Now, for those of you that may be more familiar with the Home4Good program, the diversion category is not going to be offered this year, but any applicable program that was under diversion and all of those eligible activities are now qualifying under prevention. So that's one of the main changes for this year's round. Next is the funding breakdown for homelessness prevention. It's going off of an 80-20 model. So 20% may be going towards or up to 20% for program delivery. And that would include case management, salaries, and benefits that are associated with assisting Home4Good clients only, as well as indirect administration costs. And you may notice that admin costs will not be included, but they'll be part of program delivery. For direct client assistance, that will be at least 80% of the total funding. And this will be for clients clients may receive up to 3 months of assistance, and prevention clients must be at 80% of the area median income or below. And the eligible funding or eligible expenses for homelessness prevention are on the next couple of slides that go under the direct client assistance. So It's a longer list because it includes some of those activities that would be under diversion, but that it nevertheless includes rental assistance, arrearages, advance payment of last month's rent, rental application fees, moving costs, security deposits, holding fees to reserve a unit, utility deposits, arrearages, payment for background and credit checks, room rental or shared housing support, so rent to help enter or remain in a shared housing arrangement, IDs and other documentation, so that would include fees for birth certificates, state IDs, or other social security cards that will be needed for housing or employment. Next are transportation supports, so bus, train, plane tickets that help reunify clients with family or friends that are willing to provide housing, and there is required documentation for that. Gas cards for verified travel to housing or employment, that would be a one-time payment. Another one-time payment is the car registration fee or insurance to maintain legal operation.
You know what?
Job retention and support. So that would include short-term childcare expenses, as well as work-related expenses, like uniforms, background checks, etc., as well as GED or job training fees.
Next door for the opioid grants.
Next, the last eligible expense under homelessness prevention is short-term motel stays, but only if it leads directly to stable housing. So it's to bridge the gap before moving into stable housing should the dates not entirely match with moving out or being evicted with a certain lease arrangement and moving into a new one. The next category is rapid rehousing. So there are two main changes to the rapid rehousing program in this year's funding round. So first is that rental and financial support is for clients in Kent and Sussex counties only. We are not including Newcastle County in this program at the moment. And rapid rehousing is now a 12-month grant rather than what it previously was a 2-year or 24-month grant. So rapid rehousing is for programs that assist households that meet the definition of literally homeless to solve the challenges of obtaining permanent housing in a rapid manner. And households are referred to a rapid rehousing provider by the centralized intake system or by a third-party agency. And the funding is used in a similar way to prevention, the 20% for program delivery, 80% for direct client assistance. The program delivery, again, is case management, salaries or benefits, and indirect administration costs. At least the 80% for direct client assistance goes to rental and financial supports of assistance, arrearages, other payments, security deposits, application fees, moving costs, storage costs, etc. Clients may receive up to 24 months of assistance, and even though it is a 12-month grant, clients can transfer into the next round or examples like that. There is no maximum limit on the assistance provided per household, and rapid rehousing clients must be at 80% AMI or below. Next is reentry assistance. And so reentry assistance is for individuals who are exiting incarceration by connecting them with, and programs will connect them with services, rental and financial assistance, and to help them return to a permanent housing. So this is eligible to individuals exiting correctional facilities within the last 12 months, and it supports individuals by securing and maintaining housing stability. Again, the 80-20 breakdown of up to 20% going to case management and indirect admin, and the direct client assistance for rental support in short-term rental assistance and rental arrearages, financial support like utility deposits, security deposits, application fees. Clients may receive up to 3 months of assistance, and there is no maximum limit on the assistance provided per household, just that time limit, and reentry clients may not exceed 80% of the AMI. Next is street outreach assistance. So street outreach was previously included under the innovative category, and it's now its own separate category to apply for. And street outreach is assistance provides services that target individuals and families living unsheltered, meaning those who qualify under the definition of literally homeless. Emergency services may be provided in locations where unsheltered individuals and families are staying, such as on the streets, in parks, abandoned buildings, bus stations, campgrounds, and or in other settings where they may be found. And what can the funding be used for? Up to 100% of street outreach assistance may be used for program-related salaries. And applicants may choose to have 10% of that go towards indirect costs like rent or insurance, postage, etc. And street outreach activities may include locating, identifying, and building relationships with people living unsheltered for the purpose of providing immediate support, intervention, and connections with homeless assistance programs and or mainstream services and housing programs. And the main category of innovation is broken down itself into three categories itself, but innovative programs are ones that provide innovative solutions in addressing homelessness by making the delivery of services more efficient or effective. Specifically, and then the three programs are HIV and AIDS strategic planning, Shelter Connect, and general innovation. So the first breakdown is HIV and AIDS strategic planning. So these are services that target individuals and families who are medically diagnosed with HIV and AIDS and have an income at or below 80% of the area median income. These activities include coordinating and delivering support services alongside eliminating housing barriers to access and maintaining housing assistance. So these programs should develop client-centered practices as a standard in a similar way to HOPWA program planning and operations. And what can the funding be used for? So up to 100% may be used for program-related salaries with the same up to 10% for indirect costs. And for programs that wish to provide direct client assistance, please contact us so that we can work out the breakdowns in or provide other options for that breakdown. For Shelter Connect, this is a fairly new program. It was offered in last year's round, but we're sort of expanding it for this year, so it will be available statewide to apply for. So through a partnership between an emergency shelter and a street outreach provider, Shelter Connect services aim to connect those households experiencing unsheltered homelessness to emergency shelter resources while providing case management and supportive pathways that lead to housing stability. So the goals of Shelter Connect are to increase shelter bed utilization, improve client stability and self-sufficiency, reduce barriers to housing support, and foster collaboration among local organizations and service providers to ensure a comprehensive approach in addressing homelessness. So those who can apply for Shelter Connect are emergency shelters, 501c3 nonprofits that provide emergency shelter access to street outreach clients, and they must have experience with case management and crisis intervention to address the immediate needs of the homeless statewide. And this funding can be used up to 100% for program-related salaries or including shelter operational costs. So of the program requirements for Shelter Connect, these emergency shelters that participate must be staffed 24 hours, 7 days a week throughout the year, and sign a memorandum of understanding with a street outreach provider of their choice. And in this memorandum of understanding, or MOU, providing a minimum of 20% of bed access to those street outreach providers. Also, they're required to incorporate a person-centered assessment, provide crisis intervention, as well as case management and supportive pathways, documented referrals to critical services, and reporting in CMIS on the households served, with the exception of victim service providers. Now, the general innovation category fills the gap between what is available in the other two categories of HIV/AIDS strategic planning and Shelter Connect. So the general innovation category is really aiming to support unique programs that offer innovative solutions in addressing homelessness. And often this results in support for programs that demonstrate new initiatives, new homeless program approaches, or innovative methods of making the delivery of services more efficient, accessible, or effective. So who can apply for this general innovation category are 501c3 nonprofits that are experienced with administering state or federal sources that provide services to the immediate needs of the homeless. And some minimum requirements is that it's a 1-year grant term, as are all of the other programs, but the program must be distinct and separate from other programs in an organization, as well as offer a dollar for dollar match of Home for Good request amounts. And the main requirement is that a clear plan for implementing the program needs to be demonstrated, and that could include process, strategy, timeline, standards, targeting specific geographic or demographic areas, populations, etc. So those are all of the categories that are being offered under Home for Good for this year. They are, for those of you that are new to the Home for Good program or have not previously been funded for Home for Good, there is a requirement that you schedule and attend a technical assistance meeting. So all innovation applicants that haven't previously been funded, as well as new prevention, rapid rehousing, reentry, and street outreach program applicants that haven't been funded are required to attend and schedule a technical assistance meeting. And next week are the days that we're hosting these technical assistance meetings on the 20th and the 21st, which I believe is a Wednesday and a Thursday of next week. And to schedule this meeting, please contact me. My information is at the bottom of the slide, but it'll also be provided at the end of the presentation. So I'm just going to continue going on, but my information, rest assured, will be available. And so there's been changes made to the application for the Home for Good program. So rather than having in previous years one long application with multiple exhibits, we still have exhibits, but there are now 2 applications based on the categories that you're applying for. So there is what's labeled as a general application, which is for the prevention, rapid rehousing, reentry, and street outreach programs. And then a second application labeled innovation for the general innovation, the HIV/AIDS strategic planning, and Shelter Connect programs. So this is a shortened application that's fillable, as well as exhibits that are still required, but a shortened list of them. Now the application exhibits themselves, there used to be all the way to H. We now only have 5 all the way to E. So the first category or exhibit is organizational information, the demonstrated need, program description, program budget, and program outcomes and performance measurements. Applications that do not meet the minimum threshold or eligibility requirements will not be scored, and eligible applications are reviewed by an internal committee comprised of DSHA staff. Scoring categories, the points are made available here. So for Exhibit A, 15 points, B, of a demonstrated need, 15 points, program description, 25, program budget, 20, and program outcomes and performance measurements, 25. So Home for Good applications as a part of this partnership with Federal Home Loan Bank must be supported by a Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh member financial institution to qualify for funding. And as another note, any disbursements and monitoring of Home for Good funds will be completed by DSHA. Here's a general timeline for the Home for Good program. The application round opened May 12th on this past Tuesday. Today is the stakeholder meeting on the 14th. Next week, on the 20th and 21st, are the technical assistance mandatory meetings for new applicants. Applications are due June 25th by electronic submission by 4 p.m. They must be submitted to the DSHA_comdev@delaware.gov email address. And it should include both the fillable application as well as the applicable application exhibits. On July 23rd, the review committee will meet to review, score, and rank the applications, and announcements will be made by the end of the year in December of 2026. So Thank you all for attending. Please submit all questions and comments by email to me, Zoe Rawheiser, zoe.rawheiser@delaware.gov. And on the next slide, we'll still have the information. My information is at the top. The Community Development Manager, Janelle Stanton, her information is also provided there. And the website for the DSHA Home for Good information with the NOFA and guidelines. It can be accessed under the Build Affordable Housing Community Benefit Programs tab on the website. And we thank you all for joining us today and hope you have a wonderful Thursday.